back to Education. I don't have my cute cue cards, but we do have notes, so ignore that. Thank you for being here and listening today or watching, however you consume. I appreciate it. Those of you who watch, I really appreciate it because I think that's the most time-consuming part of this is like the aesthetic being cute. I totally blew past my intro, but hey babes, welcome back to Education. I'm your host, Megs, the podcast where we keep it real about brows, business, and beauty without the fluff. Kind of like a weekly FaceTime chat with your brow BFF. So today I want to talk about something that might surprise new artists or even some clients, and that is less is more. Okay, less is more. When it comes to brow shaping, we don't need to take off half of your brow to give you a transformation. In fact, we shouldn't. I think this is something that I almost thought was so common sense that I never spoke about it, which is crazy. So we're talking about it today. Let's get into why subtle changes can make the biggest impact and how to explain that to clients and how you can train your eyes to appreciate the art of restraint. Less is more isn't lazy, it's actually skill. I love that people, love a wow moment and that we love to feel like we put in some elbow grease, if you will. And sometimes clients do expect that their brows need to be completely reshaped in order to like look better. But in my decade now, I guess you could say, of doing brows, it could not be further from the truth. And honestly, sometimes a client being unhappy with previous artists was them always doing too much. And it's really funny now that we have stepped into, if you're a brow artist who's been doing brows for a while, you notice that there's always going to be a group of clients that are new clients that come in that are looking for brow rehab. And I think some of it is, of course, the client, but the other half, I think it's 50-50. Some of them is somebody going in and doing a hack job on their brows. And then the other half is newer artists or unskilled artists, however I can say that as nicely as possible, doing too much. But a thoughtful brow service isn't about doing the most. It's about doing what's necessary and then stopping there. Clean lines, symmetry, balanced shaping that enhance the natural shape rather than overhaul it. That's where the magic happens. And honestly, I feel like it's almost like the secret sauce in my business that I never even realized was there. Think of it like tailoring. You wouldn't rip apart a great dress just to make it better. You'd snip, pin, and adjust just enough to make it fit beautifully. Brows are the exact same. Your client definitely doesn't walk out thinking, wow, she removed a lot of hair today. What a successful appointment. They walk out thinking, whoa, I look cleaner, more lifted, and my eyes look brighter. Or I look more awake because things were lifted, or wow, I really like how she tweaked this or that, or wow, everything looks sharper. And for some of those clients that have the like sparse brows and we clean up the excess, it'll make them look fuller due to that like weird perspective thing that happens. But your clients being wowed is going to come from evenness, cleaning up the tails and creating those clean lines, making sure to grab everything, not leaving hairs behind that don't need to be there. Obviously, leave the brow hairs behind that need to be there, but making sure that you're removing everything and not leaving patches that don't need to be there. Balancing between the two brows and bringing some semblance of symmetry across the two, listening to their needs and what looks good for their face shape, and also ding ding ding, using what they have when they walked in. We're going to do the best of our ability with what they brought to our little details. Not aggressive reshaping are what create visible impact and show that you're not there to butcher them and take their money, to say it as bluntly as possible. I feel like threading gets a bad rap for taking too much, but I, as a threader, have seen waxing artists take too much as well. I think we need to let go of the idea that there needs to be some crazy transformation in order to prove that you did something. I think one of the biggest skills to develop is the ability to see what actually needs to be done and what should be left. I think I always recommend zooming out, and what I mean by that is getting out of your chair, stool, whatever, and moving around. Looking at the brows from every angle to ensure that before and after you've shaped, everything is looking good. So before, you're analyzing the brow, seeing what's needed, seeing what's not. After, you're double checking that the clean lines and the shaping that you created looks good from every angle as well, especially for the symmetry part and like that balancing part. Step back, take a look at the client's face, have them sit up if you need to, if you are somebody who lays down, or has your client that reminded me of those videos where they're like, my boyfriend says we're too close. And then they're like sitting on top of them. They're like, no, I don't know what he's talking about. But let's ask a few questions as we're moving around and taking a look at the brow. Is the brow already working with their natural bone structure? What small changes would improve the balance? Am I removing hair because it's needed or just because I don't know what to do? And with clients, it's important to walk them through kind of your plans for the new one. I always like to, especially when there is something that might be off. Nothing's worse than doing the shaping and then be like, what is this? And then it's like, that was a bald patch that was there before we started. I definitely didn't remove hairs from in your eyebrow, but they don't know. And I'm sure they've had, bad experience in the past. And I always like when I have a new client come in, just be like, hey, so I noticed this tail is a little bit shorter. This one's a little bit thicker. Your arch is higher here, or whatever those weird kind of tweaks that you can't quite fix. And then kind of polish it off with showing your expertise and your plan and that you do care about their situation and what you want to improve with it. Just be like, what I'm going to do is you have a thicker brow on this side and a thinner side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to thin a little bit of the thicker brow, leave a little extra on the thinner brow, and then we can work towards that symmetry. You've pointed out the issues that they may notice. You've pointed out your solution for them in the time being, and you've pointed out that you have a plan for them. So this is just like elements of showing how we care for them and that you are a serious artist who knows what they're doing. This is going to build trust and it's going to help retrain those clients who think more hair gone is better. And maybe it's not that they need a ton of hair removal. Maybe it's they need a little tweak here and there to create balance and a tint. Maybe this is a time for you to have that conversation to upsell, to do an add-on service, or to switch them to like brow lamination or something. These are all things that can happen in a few minutes at the beginning of a new client appointment. So, whether you are a new artist or a seasoned one who needs a reminder, less is more. It's a powerful philosophy for brow work. And I think it's a secret skill that goes a really long way with clients. And not everybody needs a crazy, crazy overhaul. I have a few clients that I've seen for years that really need just a tidy, like at most. So clean, intentional shaping will always win over an aggressive removal with no plan or goals. You're not just taking hair off, you're sculpting something beautiful with the least amount of intervention needed. That's the skill. And your clients will appreciate it, not just because they look great, but because you made them feel seen, natural, and confident. Making sure that their needs, their goals, and their wants are heard, seen, and maybe even executed, or at least at the minimum given a plan to execute. If this episode gave you something to think about, I'd love for you to share it with a brow friend or sell it for later when you need the reminder. DM me your thoughts. I'd love to chat. Thank you for listening to Brow Education, and I will catch you next Thursday.